My name is Mark Swan. I'm the Metropolitan Auditor for the Metropolitan Government. Yes, I can live with the proposed budget presented by the Mayor. And from there, I'd like to thank my staff for helping us get 19 audits done last year and 1 investigation on animal control. And from there, we also did, in addition to the audits that we performed, we also did at least 28 hotels compliance tax audits. And since we started doing hotel tax audits, we've had over $500,000 in claims for the taxes, and we've collected over $400,000 of that taxes, which is close to 80%, which is really outstanding for claims collections from that perspective. Besides that, I'm ready to entertain any questions. I'm trying to set a record here this year.
Thank you, Ms. Swan. Councilman Tigard.
Thank you, and I wanted to expound on those 28 hotel audits. Were these the largest 28, or were they selected for some reason? And what would keep you from doing more of them other than staff limitations?
Yes, the initial group was more of a random sample, which included some larger hotels, probably the largest one being the Music City Sheraton, and then it's a cross-sectional representation of all the different sizes. And we found more, the ones that our experience has been, the larger hotels have skilled staff that usually does a better job. Also, we found like the extended stay hotels, they're used to being audited because of all the exemptions, and they seem to do a very good job because they know what they need to have. It's more of the independent mid-size or smaller mid-size hotels we find to have more problems with because they may not necessarily have all the skilled staff to handle the returns and the accounting for that staff. So the limitation question is basically we're not trying to, it is resources, but if I spent all my resources on doing hotel audits, I wouldn't be doing the other compliance audits that I believe we need to be doing. So that's basically where.
Well, I would just question the wisdom of additional staff based on the track record of collecting $500,000 or $400,000 plus. It would seem to me a good utilization of taxpayer funds to almost to have a full-time person assigned to just that if there is a continuing problem there.
Right. Well, we're seeing it getting a little bit better. I'm saying the other part of it is the fact that we've been doing the audits. You know, every time I went last week and participated in one hotel, and it was real quick to say, we're quite aware that you're out there doing the audits. And so it's getting in their trade associations that we are looking for compliance, and so they're doing a better job. So I like to attribute the fact that the audits that we've done is why you see hotel taxes coming in greater than what they used to.
Sure.
Not necessarily to the economy, but.
All right, with the advent of the new Airbnb and the vacation home rentals and whatnot that Council Lady Allen sponsored, will that be an area that you would look at after a certain period of time for compliance in the hotel motel tax collections, especially since the dedicated funding source that we're trying to direct that money to is near and dear to a lot of folks in this room's priorities?
It would be within the universe, the scope of hotels that we're looking at. I know we've been talking the finance department on ways to get that accomplished through Airbnb, of getting one report from them. We haven't really gone into details of how that's going to be accomplished at this time, but they're not off the table now.
Would you all be the appropriate location if there are individuals who are trying to fly under the radar by not registering with codes, not getting their proper permits and whatnot? I mean, we've heard stories of, you go online, there's no address posted, you have to book the room before you know where the address is. So there's difficulty in locating some of these folks, but there seems to be a lot more advertising out there than what are registered, at least up until a point or two several months ago.
I would say that we're not necessarily the appropriate place for enforcement. We're there for compliance for whatever rules that are there. It's something that we've talked about in the past and tried to get with the different various groups between codes and health department on how that should, and the collections office and treasury, on who should be addressing that. issue, but there has not been a resolution to that at this point.
All right, so my final question, you mentioned the hotel motel and the successes there. Were there other areas of government that gave you pause based on your findings that we need to be aware of?
Well, we've issued our audit reports. There's some that we recently issued an audit of the medical examiner's office, which gave me a little pause on the expense that we're spending on that in comparison to our peers.
Thank you.
Councilman Glover?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Swan, having worked with you on the audit committee for the last several years, given the increase with the hotels, with the Airbnbs, with all the added, what do you foresee as the trend? Do you foresee maybe outsourcing more of the audits and utilizing budget that way, or at some point in the future trying to expand your staff? I guess the real question is, which one do you think is going to be more economical for the budget?
More economical for the budget is to continue with the co-sourcing, future expansion if needed to be outsourcing. The question you're really asking is what's the right size for internal audit? And right sizing is really dependent on what the stakeholders want for an audit function. You know, if you want to be a more aggressive audit function, we probably should be larger and have more money. But I think we're at the appropriate size now, because I really believe it's management's responsibilities for the controls of this organization, and we're there as a third line of defense to make sure that they're doing their job. And I think, you know, even though we come around 8 years to do a department, I think that's probably about the appropriate amount of time to look at it. You know, I've been at places where it's been 2 to 3 years to look at every function around. So I don't know the answer. To me personally, I think we're at the right size. If I was to expand, it would be more supplementing our contracting budget, which we did get a supplement from the mayor's office in this budget. And I appreciate that. That's helped us to be able to continue to get the subject matter experts and potentially outsource one audit during the next fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Swan, thank you very much. There is no other council members in the queue. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.